Imagine that you uncover what optimal performance is and why it's there and when it's there. Then you could also think of enhancing performance, cognitive performance in high stress situations, let's say football matches, education, or in sort of high stake professional environments. Other clinical applications you could think of are, for example, ADHD, which often has a dysregulated arousal component in there. So this work might lay the ground foundations for that. So this research basically has the goal to investigate a century-old law called the Yerkes-Dodson Law, which basically describes optimal performance at mid-levels of arousal. And a previous PhD student did a lot of work on this, and we're basically exploring this law further to see how it relates in different arousal levels. So let's say you push a system outside the homeostasis to a more extreme arousal level through, for example, exercise or a very difficult task. We will inspect how this law holds true, and if it holds true, and what are the mechanisms underlying this. Currently we're in the lab. These are behavioral and physiological labs. For example, here you can see that we have an eye tracker and a home trainer. We also have equipment to measure EEG, heart rate, respiratory variability. The different steps of this research are first obviously welcoming the participant, getting the informed consent, setting them up for all the physiological measurements. So that will be heart rate, and in other studies we also have respiratory variability. We calibrate the eye tracker, and then after that we let them practice with the task. So we have a behavioral task in which there's a tone masked by noise, and they have to practice with this task a bit. We have to establish a value at which they perform on a certain percentage correct, which is different for each individual. So after we've set up all the physiological measurements, there comes a stage where we try to find their volume necessary, and then they can practice with the task, and then we actually get into the task, which is a lot of trials, because to do the data analysis we need about 1,000 trials, so it takes a long time. They're here for 1.5 hours, and there's also a component of cycling in there, after which the task will be done again to induce this increased arousal state. We chose the home trainer because it enhances physiological arousal, and it's quite easy to introduce into the lab. So it was a way for us to, in a very low threshold manner, get people exercising and enhance that physiological arousal. This research is important because it basically furthers our understanding of this Yerkes-Dodson law and how we make decisions, basically, how we consciously perceive, and how this relates to arousal and how it translates to your performance.